We are rolling into what I hope is going to be a really fun weekend of football, and we've already gotten underway with the NFL Week 13 action, and I got to tell you, it basically went exactly as I expected. The Rams dominated, and one big storyline here is that the Rams, I believe, are going to end up winning the NFC West, and I think you have to give praise to Sean McVay because he has remade his team in a really fascinating and interesting way. And the thing that he's done is Sean McVay was a genius on the offensive side of the ball. And that's when he went to the Super Bowl and everybody went out and they were like, oh, we want our own Sean McVay and Cliff Kingsbury and Kyle Shanahan and Zach Taylor. And basically, if you had any connection whatsoever to Sean McVay, you got a job as a head coach in the NFL. And now when you watch these Rams, the defense is the strength of their team. And I think you have to give a lot of credit to Sean McVay for being able to remake his team and not basically try to win the only way he knows how to win. And the best coaches out there, the best coaches adjust based on the talent they have. Give credit to Nick Saban. It would have been easy for Nick Saban to stay committed to defensive football because that's what won him games. But he recognized that college football had evolved and he had to have a dynamic offense. And he went and found Tua, and now he's got Mac Jones, and he had Jalen Hurts. And the Alabama offense moved into the 21st century in a big way after for a long time the Alabama pro-style offense was so plodding and boring and there wasn't a lot to it that for a very long time you thought maybe football could pass Nick Saban by. Maybe Gus Malzahn and his offense was going to give Nick Saban a lot of trouble. But then Nick Saban just out-offensed everybody, and his defense is still pretty solid. And I think you're seeing Sean McVay do that. And on top of that, remember that Sean McVay said after the Super Bowl, which was the last time we had seen the Rams and Patriots play prior to last night's game, he said that he was a little bit in awe of going up against Bill Belichick. And I think that's where we forget that Belichick is over 30 years older than Sean McVay. And it makes perfect sense if you're a young guy like Sean McVay who came up watching Bill Belichick that you could find yourself in a position where you get taken a bit in awe over how well and exciting it is to be in the Super Bowl against Bill Belichick, and maybe you get taken advantage of a bit for that reason. And so I think the biggest story from last night is you have to give credit to Sean McVay for evolving, for taking advantage of Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey and building up the defense that he has and starting to lean a little bit more on the rush attack, not needing to have those offensive pyrotechnics that we saw when the Chiefs and the Rams had that glorious 50-50 type game several years ago that heralded the beginning of Patrick Mahomes and everything that was going on with the Rams at that point. So I think you have to give a lot of credit to him. The other thing I think you have to acknowledge, and I put up a poll question in the fourth quarter during the game last night, and I asked a simple question, and I'll get to it here in a moment, but a lot of you have the same opinion that I do. I said entering this season that to me the most interesting single player was Cam Newton because coming off of an injury-shortened season with the Carolina Panthers and getting to play for the best coach in the history of the NFL, in my opinion, and also getting to play alongside of what I think is a pretty compelling setup in general with Josh McDaniels and all of the culture and success that the New England Patriots have had over the years. I said, look, the ceiling for Cam Newton is he comes out and proves that he's still got a lot of gas left in the tank and somebody is willing to give him a $100 million contract. I said that wouldn't stun me. We've seen players remake themselves with new teams. The most recent example of that is Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill left the Miami Dolphins as a quarterback that nobody wanted and a guy that didn't appear to have a lot left in the NFL. And he got to the Titans, and it was the right fit, and he had the success, and he immediately became, when he took over, the man for the Titans, and they gave him $100 million. And you would have never believed that was possible prior to Ryan Tannehill ending up with the Titans. So I said, look, if I'm Cam Newton, I am looking at what happened with Ryan Tannehill. I am convinced that based on the fact that I've been an MVP before, that I can win at a high level and I can still play the quarterback position at a high level, and I'm going to be able to do it on this reduced rate contract with Bill Belichick, and I am going to prove everybody wrong. And by the end of this season, there are going to be multiple teams bidding with me, and I'm going to have another starting job. And I'm here to tell you that that fascinating question that we entered into the season with, to me, has now been answered. We are 13 games through the season, and Cam Newton is, I believe, done as a full-time starter in the NFL. I'm not saying he might never start a game again. If he's willing to be a backup and or willing to sign somewhere when an injury happens, I think it's possible that he can be a fill-in. But Cam Newton, to me, has never seemed like the kind of guy who was going to stand on the sideline holding a clipboard and feel good about that form of playing football. Cam is not going to humble himself like Jameis Winston. He's not going to go be a backup somewhere. He sees himself as a starter. He's already won the MVP. He sees himself as an icon. He won the Heisman Trophy. He won the national championship. And he won the MVP in the NFL, and he played in the Super Bowl. Wildly successful career for Cam Newton. But I feel like it's over. I feel like last night, if you were watching Cam Newton at quarterback and you didn't think, okay, this guy doesn't have anything left, then you weren't watching very closely at all. They pulled him out of the game 24-3. They brought in Jarrett Stidham. He went 9 for 16 for 119 yards, threw a pick that was returned for a touchdown. I mean, how many quarterbacks out there do you ever see only throwing the ball 16 times, especially when you're getting blown out like the New England Patriots were? And for Jarrett Stidham to have to come in and replace you, to me, if I'm the New England Patriots at this point, effectively their opportunity to compete for a playoff is over, right? When you fall to 6-7, given how many good teams there are in the AFC, you may not be mathematically eliminated, but Bill Belichick and everybody at New England has to know that they are finished. And I think it's time to go ahead and give the reins to Jarrett Stidham for the next several games. Not that I think he's going to be a drastic improvement, but at least you can watch him play and see whether or not you want to think that he can be your starter next year. And so, to me, this was the story that proves the latest chapter in a story that I think we know all how it's going to end. And I asked the question last night during the game, will Cam Newton ever be a starting quarterback in the NFL again after this season? Not a fill-in for an injury, a full-time starter. And if you still want to go vote in that this morning, you can. I put it up during the game last night, and a ton of you responded, and 84% of you said that you don't think Cam Newton will ever be a starting quarterback in the NFL again after this year. And again, somebody always responding, well, he might fill in. No. I'm talking about this is his team. He's the starting quarterback. Not he's a backup and somebody gets injured. I think that Cam Newton's career in the NFL is effectively over at this point in time. Dub, you are a hardcore Auburn man. I'll give you the final word. I know Auburn fans uniquely have a deep love for Cam Newton. How would you vote in this poll question?
Well, I would vote no. And if you just look at the numbers, obviously when you look with your eyes, the answer is no, but sometimes you got to dig a little deeper. The numbers say no emphatically. He's played in 12 games now. He's only had 3 games this year where he's thrown for more than 200 passing yards. That's pretty much not even possible in today's NFL.
That's right.
I understand the Patriots don't have the best wide receivers. In fact, they probably have the worst repertoire of weapons.
Not a lot of good talent on this Patriot team. There's no doubt.
But with Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick at the helm, you'd think they'd be able to, form some sort of passing game, and that just hasn't happened yet. And if you can't throw the ball in the NFL, then you can't play.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're 100% right in all that. And I think most of the people out there who are going to vote this morning, go vote in my poll question. You can find me at Clay Travis. Go get your vote in, along with tens of thousands of other people who were voting last night through the evening and on into this morning. The vast majority of the OutKick audience believes that Cam Newton is done.